Hi, let's learn how to create a drop-down box in Excel. I have a list of names here and I want all these names in a single drop-down in a single cell. So the first step would be defining a name for a list. So I'm going to select all this range which is having a name and I will just go to formulas and define a name option. I will create from my selection which I have just selected and I will create. I will use a top row for creating the name. Okay, and I will just click OK. Now I have defined a name for my list. So the next step would be I need to select the cell where I want the drop down to be. So I want the drop down in I2. I have selected I2. I will go to data and I will go to data validation and I will select list here. Okay, in list I will just give an range that is name which I have defined just now. So there are multiple options here. I can ignore the blank, whether you should ignore the blank or not. Since you want a drop down, make sure it is checked. And input messages, you can use this to give any input messages. When cell is selected, show the input message. I am going to give name here, or I will just give type list of names. Okay, list of names and the input message. You can give what is the input message it is going to give. Okay, and error alert. The error alert is used if the drop down, or if I'm going to give a drop down here, if my cell I2 contains a data which is not in the list, that means which is not in the name which I am giving here. If it is not in this list, I can get a error, either a warning, or I can stop the user from inputting the any values. So I'm not going to use it now, or we can see it later as well. So I'm going to give enter. So as you can see, the list is ready. Okay, I can select from any list and I can get the name. So if you want to remove this drop down, you have to go back to the data validation and you can just select any value and click OK. The drop down will be removed. And if you have selected error system, then you should remove that as well. So I will give that example now. I will go back to the data validation and I will select the list and I will give a error. I will select stop warning information. I will select stop. Okay, so once it is done, I am going to give OK. Now I am going to type something else here. So it is giving me an error that this cell should contain a name. That means this value does not match with the data validation restriction defined for this cell.